Hey everyone, welcome back to Sip&Talk. This is EP410-2. We are definitely cruising past 500 episodes soon.
We're totally are. Listeners, seriously, help us out here. What do you want to hear? Let us know.
Yeah, send them in. We check all your suggestions. Promise.
Haha. All right. Let's jump into today's topic then. It's a big one. China's AI race. Patriotism meets distrust.
Ooh, yeah. This is a huge macro story. We're talking chips, geopolitics.
Yeah.
Even touches on social psychology, really.
Exactly. We've got economic data, reports on the competition. We're going to try and unpack it all for you.
Okay, where do we start? The engine room.
Let's do it. The engine room. So AI is obviously this huge economic driver now, right? This AI gold rush. But the most advanced stuff, like the GPT series, it all needs these incredibly sophisticated chips. We're talking 3-nanometer chips.
Tiny, tiny circuits. And there's basically only one company on Earth that can make the machines needed to produce those chips reliably. That's ASML, the Dutch company.
Right. ASML. What makes them so special? Is it that EUV thing?
Exactly. Extreme ultraviolet lithography.
Yeah.
It's incredibly complex technology. These machines use this super specialized light to etch circuits that are unbelievably small, like under 7 nanometers.
Wow.
Yeah. And for now, nobody else can really match that precision at scale. So ASML, they're essentially the gatekeeper, the choke point for, the future of cutting-edge AI.
So hold on. Our collective AI future, in a way, hinges on this one company in the Netherlands. That sounds like a big strategic vulnerability.
It is, and you can see how high the stakes are just by looking at the money pouring in.
Okay, tell me about the numbers.
Well, ASML's Q3 2025 orders. They blew past forecasts, came in at 5.4 billion euros. Forecast was what, 4.9 billion?
That's a big beat. What's driving that? Just massive AI investment.
Titanic investment, yeah. You hear about OpenAI's plans, like a $1 trillion data center and chip project, and they're just one company. Others are spending hundreds of billions, too. It all flows back to needing those advanced chips, and so needing ASML's machines.
Okay, that kind of spending sounds great for growth, but it also sets off alarm bells, doesn't it? You hear the word bubble a lot.
Oh, definitely. And fund managers are nervous. Our info suggests something like 54% of them are warning about a significant AI bubble risk right now.
And it's not like the whole market is booming equally, right? It feels really concentrated.
It's extremely concentrated. Think about the S&P 500. The top 7 stocks, mostly the big AI players, they now make up something like 35% of the entire index weight.
35%. Just 7 companies.
Yeah. It just shows how much global investment is betting on this relatively small group of tech giants. And many of them depend fundamentally on getting those 3-nanometer chips, which means depending on ASML.
So if anything hiccups at ASML or with that tech, the whole market could catch a cold.
Instantly. It highlights that concentration risk.
Okay, so if the economic side is about concentration and bubble risk, the geopolitical side, that's about dependency and conflict, right? This AI race is fueling a new kind of trade war.
Absolutely. It's way beyond just silicon now. It's escalating, sort of tit for tat.
Like what? Give me an example.
Well, remember President Trump threatening to block Chinese edible oils. That was retaliation because Beijing wasn't buying U.S. soybeans. It was mostly political theater aimed at rural voters back home.
Right, symbolic jabs. But China has a much bigger strategic card to play, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. Rare earths. That's the big one.
Explain that. Why are rare earths so critical here?
Because China has a near monopoly on refining them. They control about 90% of the global capacity. And these elements, you absolutely need them for advanced military tech, like fighter jets, missiles.
And for AI hardware too, right? GPUs, data centers.
Exactly. Crucial components. So if Beijing decided to restrict rare earth exports, boom, U.S. AI infrastructure costs could potentially spike, maybe 20%, 30%. It's direct economic leverage with serious strategic implications.
So it's not just an economic race. It's about military power, about weaponizing AI itself.
That's the ultimate fear, yeah. The U.S. is trying to strategically decouple, especially military AI applications. But when you compare the industrial bases, it's concerning.
How so? What's the comparison look like?
Well, look at the U.S. submarine industry. Vital for projecting power, right? But reports say it's facing huge problems. Big issues with skilled labor shortages.
Shortages? Like they can't find enough workers.
Yeah, leading to really high turnover, like 30%. And that causes major delays. The new Columbia-class subs, for instance, they're reportedly delayed by 12 to 17 months. That's significant.
So it's a workforce bottleneck, really, a labor supply chain issue.
Pretty much. Maybe points to needing more investment in training, apprenticeships, that kind of thing.
And while the U.S. is facing these delays, China's
expanding rapidly. They're building up their nuclear submarine fleet, aiming for maybe 80 subs by 2035.
80. Wow. That's a stark contrast. U.S. struggling with delays, China pushing full steam ahead.
It really shows how this AI competition bleeds directly into an arms race where the capacity to build the hardware is just paramount.
Okay, this global tension, this race, it leads us to this really interesting paradox inside China. This intense patriotism around technology existing alongside, what? Deep distrust because of digital surveillance.
Exactly. It's this powerful tech nationalism. The government really frames AI development, supporting companies like Huawei, developing local models like DeepSeek. It's all part of the Chinese dream. It's about national strength, about pushing back against what they call Western containment.
So people are encouraged to be proud, to support these national champions.
Yeah, it's a matter of national pride. But, and this is the paradox, the very same technology they're proud of is also the backbone of a massive state surveillance system.
And that surveillance isn't just for domestic use, is it? They're exporting it.
Oh, absolutely. Take Huawei's Safe City program. It's not just in China. It's been deployed in something like 700 cities across 100 countries. Covers almost 1 billion people.
1 billion people? What does it do?
Uses AI for facial recognition, predictive policing, basically exporting digital control methods.
And there have been reports, allegations, that it's used for more than just, quote, public safety.
Definitely. Reports suggest it's been used to track political opposition figures in places like Africa or monitor specific ethnic groups like the Rohingya in Myanmar. It's sold as safety tech, but it can be a tool for influence and control too.
So if everyone knows this tech is being used for surveillance, both at home and abroad, why is there seemingly broad acceptance or at least tolerance for it within China?
Well, it's likely a mix of things. There might be cultural factors, maybe a greater collective emphasis on social order or public safety over individual privacy, historically.
Okay.
But probably more significant is a kind of psychological adaptation. Surveillance becomes normalized, especially when it's tied to convenience. Think about the health code system. During the pandemic, you needed it to move around, to access services or social credit systems.
So convenience makes it palatable.
Or maybe just unavoidable. People might make a kind of silent compromise. They accept the monitoring, maybe partly out of convenience, partly out of fear of the consequences if they object too loudly.
But that compromise must feel pretty fragile. What happens when the surveillance is obviously cynically abused? Does the trust just collapse?
It certainly can. And we've seen examples. The Hainan Red Code incident is a really stark one.
Remind me about that one.
Okay, so this health code system, right, designed for COVID tracking. Well, in Hainan province, authorities reportedly used it to stop people from protesting about frozen bank accounts. They just changed the protesters' codes to red.
So they couldn't travel, couldn't gather.
Exactly. It effectively locked them down, preventing them from mobilizing or traveling to Beijing to petition. It laid bare how these systems could be used for direct political control, totally unrelated to public health.
Wow. That erodes trust fast, I bet. And you mentioned the fear. The cost of criticizing seems incredibly high, too.
It absolutely is. Publicly criticizing powerful entities, whether it's the government or even major corporations, carries significant risk. That forces a kind of self-censorship.
Like the Huawei 251 incident, what was that?
Yeah, that was a really high-profile case. An ex-Huawei employee got detained for 251 days after a dispute with the company over severance pay. It sent a chilling message.
251 days. Just for a work dispute.
The charges were eventually dropped, but the message was clear. Challenging powerful players can have severe consequences, even outside the purely political sphere. So, yeah, sometimes that loud patriotic rhetoric you hear might be partly a survival strategy.
So beneath the surface of tech nationalism, there's this potential for a massive trust deficit.
It's systemic. When these abuses of monitoring power come to light, like the Hainan case, public trust can really take a nosedive. Some estimates suggest drops of 30%, even 50% in trust levels after such incidents. The whole "it's for your safety" narrative only works until it's blatantly used against you.
Man, okay, we've covered a lot of ground, from like the nanometer scale of those chips all the way through global trade wars over rare earths and landing on personal freedom and digital trust. It's all deeply interconnected.
It really is. And, bring it back to the macro picture for a second. Despite all this tension, the economics keep churning. There's talk the Fed might signal a rate cut, maybe 25 basis points in October.
Okay, and what does that do?
Well, it likely means a weaker dollar going forward. Forecasts are maybe, 4% to 6% weaker by 2026. And interestingly, a weaker dollar actually tends to help Asian manufacturing hubs, like TSMC in Taiwan, which, remember, makes a ton of the world's chips.
Huh. So Fed policy impacts the core players in the AI hardware race, too. It never stops.
Never stops.
Okay, so wrapping this up, what does this all mean for you, our listeners? We talked about that AI bubble risk. 54% of fund managers are worried. Should people be worried? What's the takeaway?
Well, given that extreme concentration we mentioned, those top 7 S&P stocks holding 35% weight, diversification seems like the screamingly obvious advice right now.
Diversify how?
Where the chatter is about looking down and out, meaning look down the market cap scale, maybe, but also out geographically, towards Europe, towards Asia. Japan's getting a lot of attention, attractive valuations, benefiting from some companies moving supply chains.
Okay, look beyond the U.S. tech giants. What about hedging if things get volatile?
The classic hedge. Gold, the yellow metal. It's seen as maybe the best hedge right now, partly because central banks globally keep buying it up as geopolitical risks rise.
Makes sense. Diversify, maybe look abroad, consider gold. Good practical advice, especially with all this bubble talk swirling around AI.
Prudence is key.
Definitely. Okay, let's leave you all with a final provocative thought for the week. We've talked about this dynamic in China, where patriotism can feel like a forced political test, and deep distrust of the system becomes almost a rational survival strategy. So the question is, what kind of society, operating under that tension, can truly sustain long-term technological leadership?
Something to chew on.
Yeah, definitely something to mull over.
Well, we've loved sharing this Sip and Talk with you all today.
Absolutely. Please, if you enjoyed it, subscribe to Sip and Talk wherever you get your episodes. And hey, don't forget to check out our old friend Mickey's YouTube channel, Mickytolife.
Oh, yeah, Mickey.
He's got funny memes, whiskey tastings, and I think the latest vlog from their big European trip just dropped. You definitely don't want to miss that.
Good stuff over there.
Totally. All right, everyone, thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next time on Sip and Talk.